Hey fellow viewer, do you like lost and cancelled games as much as I do? Well then, you're in for a ride in such case. Because today I bring you 5 more obscure cancelled games. This is a continuation of the last video I did a couple weeks ago, so if you haven't seen that already, you should check it out, even though you could pretty much watch this in any order you want. It's not like it matters anyway. But yeah, let's check out these 5 new cancelled games. And once again, shoutouts to Unseen64 for the awesome work providing the sources. It's very much appreciated. If you ever play Diddy Kong Racing, then you'll know there's a couple of characters that are exclusive to that game. One of these being Timber the Tiger. And one fun fact about this character is that before it became a Donkey Kong IP, he was going to be the main character in the game. But another pretty interesting thing is that Timber was going to have his very own game. Rare were developing an N64 Timber platform game simply called Timber 64, although this could have been just a working title. According to an article written by Kevin Bayliss, former Rare game designer, Timber's game was supposed to come out a year after Diddy Kong Racing, which would have been 1998. And it would have been similar to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, although set in a prehistoric environment. There were actually plans for 2 cancelled Timber games, one of which was a 3D platformer, which was cancelled in favor of RC Pro AM64, which would later become Diddy Kong Racing, and then another one which was going to be an action-adventure game, which later became Dinosaur Planet. And that game will also be cancelled and reworked as Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube. There is no footage or screenshots of the game in any state, but there are some interviews about it which I'll link in the description. Lunatik was a shoot-'em-up developed around 1997 by Pure Entertainment, and planned to be published by EIDOS for PlayStation, Sega Saturn, and PC. This game featured a beautiful engine, a big polygon number, and high-quality textures for that time. Sadly, the gameplay wasn't as fun as they hoped for, and it needed more time to be improved. But EIDOS didn't want to invest more money into the project. In the end, Lunatik was reworked and released as an ATI graphics card tech demo in a more limited version. So this game is not completely lost, but it's certainly a different version than what was originally meant to be. According to some press release text, this game was going to feature 18 levels, a barrage of Armageddon-like weaponry, power-ups galore, shields, cloaking devices, and bosses. And one interesting touch to the game was that in each level there was a construction area where the enemies were building a boss monster. And if the player failed the mission before the timer went out, the boss will be built and it will come for you. Fortunately, there are several screenshots of the game in this state, as well as footage of the released ATI PC version. Dino Crisis is a popular survival horror game that was released for the PS1 in 1999, and it was developed by Capcom. A portable version of the game was in development by M4 Ltd, a British studio who was responsible for games such as Tasmanian Devil, Munching Madness, and Resident Evil Gaiden, both for the Game Boy Color. This version of the game would have been a top-down adventure, unlike the original one which featured a set camera perspective, just like the one found in the original Resident Evil for the PS1. This version of the game was cancelled, and it seems that M4 Ltd used this unreleased game as a base for Resident Evil Gaiden, a game that was actually released for the Game Boy Color. There are no screenshots or footage of this version of the game. However, this is not where the story ends. Believe it or not, this was not the only Game Boy Color port that got cancelled. Fluid Studios, another British developer, was said to be developing a port of the game that was quite different to the one developed by M4 Ltd. This one, rather than being a top-down view game, was a game that featured static backgrounds and text with images. There are some images from this version of the game, and from the looks of it, it seemed like it wanted to be a scaled-down view version of the game, rather than a completely different version. And this would have been pretty much impossible in my opinion, considering how limited the Game Boy Color was. At the end of the day though, both versions got cancelled, and we never got to experience Dino Crisis in a portable manner. Sonic Extreme, not to be confused with the cancelled Sonic 3D game for the Sega Saturn, was a planned Sonic racing game for the Game Boy Advance. Not a lot is known about the game, but for what we can say based off of these images, shared by artist Arvin Bautista, who was working with Sega on the project, this game would have been centered around hoverboards. It is also stated that Sonic Riders, a game that was released for the GameCube, was said to have a GBA port, developed by Backbone Entertainment, which was ultimately cancelled. Backbone eventually ended up developing Sonic Rivals for the PSP. Although it is not implicit, I'm going to assume that what was originally the GBA port of Sonic Riders eventually became Sonic Extreme before being cancelled. The reason why Sonic Extreme got canned was, according to an article, because Sega of Japan saw the game and requested it to be more 3D, which turned out to be way too ambitious for the hardware and ended up being scrapped. Okay, now this is one that you may actually know about, but it's also one that I feel needs to be addressed, and also one that hurts me to this day, the fact that it got cancelled. I'm talking about Crash Tag Team Racing for the Nintendo DS. Personally, I'm a big Crash Bandicoot fan, and I love coming back to the games every now and then, even those that are not as good as the one on his prime on the PS1. And Crash Tag Team Racing, being as silly as it was, I still feel like it had some charm, and the fact that it was a hybrid between racing and platforming made it unique in my opinion. This game was released mostly on home consoles, and a portable version was released for the PSP, which was pretty much the same. But there was another portable version that sadly got cancelled, and that one was going to be a Nintendo DS port. It was being developed by Sensory Sweep, and thankfully there are some images that we can work with to see what the game would have looked like. Sadly though, none of these images are from the game itself, but are rather textures and screenshots of places that seem to be unfinished. Judging by these images, it can be assumed that the game will have retained the platforming aspect of exploring an amusement park as a hub world, but it will have probably looked completely different than the one in the home console's release. The characters also look like they were scaled down, and there's even a couple NPCs that are not in the other versions of the game. As for the tracks, there's also some images from them, although again, not from the game itself, but from a development program they were being worked on. I gotta say though, for a scaled down version, it looks pretty cool. There's a couple alleged reasons for the cancellation of this game, one being the release of Mario Kart DS at almost the same time, which would have overshadowed the game. Another one says it was because of internal issues between Sierra and Sensory Sweep, although there isn't any official statement. Regardless though, it is pretty sad that this game got cancelled. I feel like it would have been fun to play a brand new version of this game on the go, but maybe it became a bit too ambitious for them to work out in the end. And that's another 5 obscure lost/cancelled games. I hope you enjoyed the video because it really does take a lot of effort to make this, so yeah. Again, it's really fun to indulge in the lost media world and just dig out pieces that you might not know about and learn a little bit more about what could have been and sadly wasn't. Anyway, thank you for watching and I will see you again on the next video. Take care, drink water and stay healthy. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching. It means a lot to me, and if you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe so I can keep making it. And also, let me know in the comments if there's a game you would like me to cover in the future. With that said, take care and I'll see you next time.